Welcome back to the Cute Developer. Today's tutorial guide will take you through a simple yet complete C++ program that determines if a given word or phrase is a palindrome. I'll break down the code section by section, explaining the purpose of each line, the functions used, and the overall logic. By the end of the guide, you'll not only understand how the program works, but you'll have a solid foundation of some of the essential C++ concepts. So, before we begin, what is a palindrome? Let's quickly define what a palindrome is. A palindrome is a word, a phrase, a number, or another sequence of characters that read the same forwards and backwards. Common examples are words like level, radar, madam, as well as phrases like a man, a plan, a canal, Panama. This program, it's designed to handle phrases and ignore spaces, as well as ignore capitalization. This will make it a robust palindrome checker. So, I need to set up the code first. And the code needs to have some include files. So, what's going to provide access to the C++ functionalities? Think of them as toolkits. They are all pre-written. Each one performs a common task. So I'm going to need to include IOStream, string, algorithm, and CC-type. IOStream, this is a standard input-output stream library. It gives us the tools to interact with the user, printing to the console, and reading user input. So printing stdcout and stdcin for reading. The string, this header provides the string class. This is a way to powerful way to handle sequences of characters. Now the algorithm, this library is a powerhouse for manipulating data structures. It contains generic algorithms like reverse and remove. These are crucial for our program. CC-type, this header contains functions for character handling. It basically converts characters to lowercase. I'll also need this for comparing case sensitive. Now the isPalindrome function, the core logic of this program resides in the function named isPalindrome. The functions are reusable blocks of code, and each one performs a specific task. Our function is going to take a string as the input, is going to return a boolean, which is a true or false value, which will indicate whether the palindrome actually is a palindrome. Now we'll look at the input parameter, the const std string. The ampersand indicates a reference. This means we're passing a reference of the original string and not a copy. This is more efficient for larger strings, and it also avoids the overhead, of copying the entire data. And typically I'll do this with every character or string input. Put a const in front of it with the ampersand. Now the const keyword, this is a promise that our function will not modify or change the original string that was passed in. This is good practice. That way, if anything is changed within the function, it'll issue an alert and a compile error when I actually compile. Now the first part of the function is to process the input string so that spaces and capitalizations don't affect the palindrome check. So, for example, racecar. The R could be capitalized, the C could be capitalized. So I want to treat it as all one word, racecar. So I'm going to create a new string, and I'll call it processed string. It'll be initialized with a copy of the input string. Remember, I'm doing this because I don't want to modify the original string. I also want to remove the spaces, change the case. And for my check, the original str string is const, so that's unchangeable. So I need to make a copy of it. Next, I'll use a clever combination of remove and erase. This way I'll get rid of all the spaces. So if I process the string, use remove and erase, then I can get rid of all that extra excess. So the first part of the operation, this is the algorithm that moves all the occurrences of the character, a space, to the end. It moves to the range specified begin and end. It doesn't actually remove them from the string's memory. Instead, it returns an iterator to the new logic end of the string. So then I process the str erase, and the second part of this, well, the erase function of the std string class takes a range of characters to remove. I will use the iterator returned by the std remove as the starting point, and the process string end as the ending point. This effectively erases all of the characters from that point to the end, and in this case, those are all spaces. The next step is remove and erase. And once all those elements have been erased, I can now convert to lowercase. So in this instance, I want to check std transform. I'll pass begin and end. And then I want to take the transform algorithm and apply the function to a range of elements that stores each result, in another range. So the input is from begin to end. That's what I want to transform. So I'm going to be using the same string for both the input and the output. So now that I pass in one character, I'm now going to return the results of the two lower. This will convert the character to its lowercase equivalent. Now once I have this, I can now reverse the string. So I can go ahead and call reverse string and give it the begin and the end. So now I'm going to create a new string as a copy. That'll be the reverse string. It'll be cleaned up. Now the std reverse, pretty powerful. Again, it also takes the iterator, and it's from the algorithm header. It reverses the elements within the specific range, and then it modifies the reverse string in place. Once I've reversed that string, now I can begin to check if they're actually the same. So the double equal for string compares. It'll take the contents of two strings. If they're identical, the expression evaluates to true. Otherwise, it'll evaluate to false. Now the main function, that's where the program execution begins. It orchestrates the user's interactions and calls the palindrome function. So I'll go ahead and create my user input. Then I want to go ahead and prompt the user. Tell them what the name of the application is. It's a palindrome checker. Give it a little pretty lines. Then I'll go ahead and ask the user to enter a word. And so when they enter in their word, I then need to actually take the input. So I'll get the user's input, and I want to get their input as a get line. It'll take the whole line for me. Now once the get line reads the entire line, this will read it as an input stream. and it reads it as an input stream until the new line character is encountered. This is crucial because it allows us to read phrases that contain spaces. Otherwise, stdcin, that's not able to do that on its own. So then I'll perform the check and display of the actual result. So I'll go ahead and pass the user input into the isPalindrome method and check the Boolean value. If it matches, well then it's a palindrome. If it doesn't match, it isn't. Now this program is an excellent example of how to combine various C++ standard libraries, well, each one to solve a problem efficiently. I used IOStream, that handles the user interaction. I used TheString, which is great for handling text. I used Algorithm for removing elements, reversing a sequence, and a custom function isPalindrome to encapsulate the logic, making the code clean and reusable. I also used the stdGetLine function to handle multi-word user input. By breaking down this problem into smaller manageable steps, cleaning the string, reversing it, then comparing it, I can create a robust and readable program. This approach is a modular design, and leveraging the standard libraries is huge and extremely effective for C++ programming. I hope you enjoyed this console application. Please leave a comment. Let me know if there's a specific console application you'd like to create. Thank you for watching, and happy coding.